Ay, 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 ay. Same squad, same squad, same squad. Drop top, coupe, Dodge Range drives.
ReconAthlete.com podcast episode 12. I'm going to start losing count here, Paul. You're going to have to help me.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and I'll be there.
Paul Rodriguez, Zach Lucero, Chris Sanchez here. Zach's over on his phone just like a millennial. What are you doing, Zach?
Well, just surfing the web.
Are we not interesting enough for you this morning?
I'm trying to get it popping. Y'all messing around with the intros and trying to count shows and stuff. I'm trying to get it popping.
What you popping over there?
What are you popping on your phone there?
What you Cardi B popping?
I'm trying to get the podcast popping.
Oh, okay. Word up. All right. Well, today's podcast, we're going to do Week 5 Greater Austin Area High School Roundup. We also have a special interview with Flatonia lineman Cam Becker. And we want to get into NFL Week 4. The Recon Podcast is powered by Lawnman ATX. All right, guys. Now, I was supposed to go to a game. We talked about what game I was supposed to go to last night, right?
You were going to do the trifecta.
I was going to do the trifecta.
All this and that.
Do that, and I didn't do that.
So no hat trick?
No hat trick.
Man.
You are 49 and lazy. You're not going to do no 3 games in one.
Okay, so this is what happened. All right. This is what happened was.
All right.
I get on Mopac, right? I'm heading north. I was heading towards Dragon Stadium, and then I'm like, something made me get off on Palmer Lane, right? It was like divine providence, right? It's like, man, you really should just go to this Stony Point Cedar Ridge game. And honestly, I started listening to the Westwood game, on my way. Mm-hmm. And it was, by the time I got to the Cedar Ridge Stony Point game, it was already like 22-0 for Round Rock.
So you listened to your gut.
Yeah, so I kind of like, you know what? It's pretty good decision just to go to Cedar Ridge, Stony Point, because when I got to that game, it was close. It was 8-7. So I think I made the right decision.
Well, I'm glad you're able to bring back all the reconnaissance on Round Rock and those guys for the Vandergrift game next week. So thanks for that.
Yeah, they're gonna play that. They're gonna play next week. Mm-hmm. Is that what you wanted me to go do? You want to go recon?
I need you to do some scouting, some recon.
Man, you don't have to scout Round Rock. You know what they're gonna do.
I don't, but you would have.
I feel like I'm disappointed dad over here. We're like Zach and I are like switching roles.
Disappointed in you.
Cedar Ridge.
I would expect so from Paul, but not from you.
Hey, I do my best.
Cedar Ridge and Stony Point last night. A great game. Cedar Ridge's homecoming. Stony Point. Now, I read this on Statesman. Shout out to Statesman. I didn't know this was true or not. Stony Point's first ever win over Cedar Ridge. Can that be true?
But, you think of the dominance that Cedar Ridge has had, the last few years, like just the team they put together. And that's why people have been talking about Cedar Ridge so much this year, is just how bad they are compared to how good they have been. So, that wouldn't surprise me, honestly, because I know the first ever matchup, it was supposed to be Stony Point going out and rolling this new school, and that wasn't the case. So it didn't surprise me. Yeah,
Stony Point with the win, 42-32. Kendall Thomas, 271 yards, 4 touchdowns. Deuce Vaughn had 126 and a couple of scores of his own. He should have had 200 yards, guys, though, because there was a 71-yard run that was called back in the first quarter for holding. So 71. 126. That doesn't quite do the math, but it was $200. It was a 200-yard game for Deuce Vaughn as well. It was called back because of penalties.
And how was the quarterback play for Cedar Ridge? Did they stick with rolling both guys out there? Or was it mostly Jalen Brown?
It was mostly Jalen Brown. They put Jack Turner in a couple of times, or a few times actually. He was actually out there at the end of the game when they were trying to score to at least get it close. So the very last drive of Cedar Ridge, after they were down 42-32, they get downfield, and then they're about 10, 15 yards out, and all of a sudden Jack Turner comes in, because I guess they're trying to make sure that they can make a throw. I don't really get it. It seems like there's got to be a way to get both those guys out on the field at the same time. I don't understand why they don't try to get Jalen Brown out there at the same time. I know they're both quarterbacks, but Jalen just seems like, he's athletic enough to do something else besides.
He's a strong runner too, Jalen Brown.
He is, and he can do a lot, and I think they're limiting themselves when they don't try to use him or put them both out there on the field at the same time.
It sounds like a confidence issue. It sounds like one or the other may be affecting the other in an adverse way. And I mean, especially with Jalen being a D1 commit, you think that it wouldn't bother him, but it could be. You just don't know what gets in, these athletes' heads sometimes.
I don't think Jalen's a D1 commit, yeah, but I don't think he's a D1 quarterback yet. But he's definitely a D1 frame. That's a big kid.
I agree with that.
Oh yeah, he's a big kid. I mean, there was some open receivers that he missed downfield. Stony Point's defense, tell you what, those guys do a really good job up front. All they really had to do was rush 4. They were either running a man free or they were running 2 deep.
What's the culture like now at where Stony Point? Like, considering the tough year they had last year compared to now, what do you think has been the biggest impact?
Well, I think all these kids, especially the seniors, they want to do well in this district, and above all, I think they wanted to beat Cedar Ridge. Yeah, and I think that was that was really the catalyst, and really the goal for them was to beat Cedar Ridge. And in order to beat Cedar Ridge, you got to be a really good football team. And this Stony Point Tigers team is really good both on the defense and offensive side of the ball.
Well, I don't think you can look like too much into this game because this is one of the bigger rivalries in our area. So I mean, just looking at it, I don't think people thought it was going to be as competitive as it was. But I mean, that's just so like emotionally charged and all that stuff. But they did give up a lot of points to Cedar Ridge. So you're talking about that defense, but they did give up a lot of points to the Cedar Ridge team that had really been struggling.
They did.
Were they trash points?
They weren't really trash points. I think it was Deuce Vaughn making plays really. I think Brown made some plays. Devin Roundtree made some plays, and they were big plays. Okay. It wasn't anything. There wasn't like a real big sustained drives for Cedar Ridge. There were
chunk plays,
big chunk plays. Cedar Ridge kind of got a little screwed over at the end of the game. There was a controversial punt, went down. Stony Point punts the ball to Cedar Ridge at the end. It's probably about 3 or 4 minutes left of the game. I was actually standing over there because I was kind of, the way Kelly Reeves is, you can kind of walk up and down, that little alleyway there, so you can kind of follow the action. And I was actually standing like on the goal line there because like I said, I like to sit in the stand so I can see everything. And I was standing at the goal line. Punt goes to like the 1 yard line. And I mean, I'm going to be honest, man, the kid looked like he was in the end zone when he was touching the football, and the football looked like it was past the end line. Mm-hmm. But I was on the same side as the referee, and you couldn't really see where the football was. And he was the one that made the call. So he put it on the 1 yard line. Very next play, they put Jalen Brown underneath center, which, when you're a shotgun team and you're not used to, taking that snap, it was fumbled right away. First play, Stony Point gets the ball, and then, all you got to do is give it to Kendall at that point, and that's what salted away the game. So Cedar Ridge coaches were definitely disappointed about that call, but I don't think that call was the be-all, end-all for this game. Stony Point, 42-32 winners, now undefeated. This was a very, very good game. I'm kind of glad I didn't go to see my Westwood Warriors get rocked 67-21 against Westwood.
Big game for Stony Point next week against Hendrickson. That'll kind of just describe, or that'll tell the tale if they're live in that district.
Yeah, Hendrickson 44-0 winners over Leander, and of course I just mentioned Round Rock. They're going to be playing Vandegrift next week. Vandegrift 31, Vista Ridge 12. Zach Lucero, sideline reporter for the Vandegrift Vipers. What do you think about the game last night?
Yeah, I mean, Vista Ridge. I mean, shout out to Vista Ridge. That's just a revamped program over there. The stands look like they were pretty close to sold out. There's a ton of people there. Their offense is fun to watch. The way they just throw the ball, high tempo. They do a lot of checking to the sidelines, but they get lined up really fast every play. Started out the game, Vista Ridge is moving the ball, opening kickoff, moving the ball down the field really easily. But then getting to that red zone, the stingy Vandegrift defense stopped them a couple times, ended up going for it from 4th and goal at the 1 after trying to run it a few times. They bring in a linebacker as one of those like extra blockers kind of things, and they bootleg him out into the end zone wide open and just drops it. So I mean that's kind of how you know.
Yeah.
Maybe Vista Ridge isn't back yet. Like if they just can't finish drives. So as soon as that happened, I mean the Vandegrift sideline erupted. Really kind of that defense showed that they can make a stand against a new offense like that because Vandegrift looked like they were kind of shocked the way that Vista Ridge was moving the ball because it looked easy. Mm-hmm. It really looked easy.
So you think their tempo kind of threw Vandy off a little bit?
Yeah, and this was the first team that really came out and wanted to throw the ball against Vandegrift.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it would normally be Cedar Ridge, right?
I would think.
But now they're like their key player is Deuce Vaughn, so they run the ball with him a lot, and maybe it's not up the middle. It's more like outside runs and stuff. But that's their offense this year is running the ball with him or running the ball with Jalen. Clean Ellison didn't do that. Hendrickson had a new quarterback in, and his thing was being a mobile quarterback. So they really haven't had a team that just come out and really tested that secondary the way that Vista Ridge did, and you could tell that they were being tested at first, but shout out to that Vandegrift secondary, Logan Arnold, Ryan Arnold, Wyatt Breckenridge. I mean, Coach Sanders said after the game that he said you might not think it, but this is the most athletic we've been at corner in a long time, and they may not have the best stature at corner. Last year they had two guys over 6'1". So this year they're a lot shorter, but they are very, very athletic and they're very, very smart.
Yeah, I'm just kind of surprised. I was kind of just looking at the schedule for Vandy right now, and the first 2 weeks they shut out opponents, and then points are starting to come on the board, especially last week against Hendrickson with those 21, and then last night they gave up 12. Do you see that maybe some teams, as the progression of the season goes on, they're starting to learn a little bit of the deficiencies for Vandy? Do you see that?
No, I honestly I don't necessarily think so, and if there is, they correct it so fast. So Vista Ridge turned the ball over at the 1, and Vandegrift went all the way down the field and kicked a field goal. That defense was on the benches that whole time, getting coached by the coaches, and that's Coach Sanders' guys is the defense. So and as soon as defense went back out there again, you didn't see that anymore. That 12 points was a pretty. You talk about garbage time.
Yeah,
they came out late in the third quarter and scored, but it was kind of like they were already up so big, and then they missed the extra point. And then the last touchdown was kind of garbage time, and they went for 2, and Vandegrift stopped them on that too. So they make the stops when they need to, but it's almost like they're not going to exert themselves if they know that they're comfortable where they're at.
Yeah, there's Vista Ridge scoring last 3 weeks 51 against Killeen, 42 against McNeil, and then 49 against Westwood, and then all of a sudden 12 points.
12, yeah.
I mean. We've been talking about the Vandegrift defense and how good they are. I mean, just looking at that point output by the Vista Ridge Rangers, that tells you the job that they did against Vista Ridge. I mean, you got all kinds of talent on the Rangers sideline. So I was actually thinking this game might be a little bit closer than this, but I mean, from what the way you're painting it, Zach, it was almost like a domination for Vandegrift last night.
It really felt like it, especially. I mean. There were times where Vista Ridge or where Vandegrift really wasn't. It's kind of how I do in Madden sometimes, where you don't really rush the passer. Where we don't really rush the passer that much because your guys can defend. So they were just the ends were containing, and then they were spying up the middle, and he was just standing back there with nothing to do, and he was just kind of running around and ended up getting sacked because there's nobody open down the field. They couldn't run the ball because Jackson McCauley and Zach Gilchrist up the middle are stopping the run so easily. I feel like a lot of people thought the weakness was going to be the secondary of Vandegrift, and this game shows that maybe they're stronger than people thought. Yeah,
it's going to be a big game next week. Vandegrift against Round Rock. Where's that game at, Zach? Do you know?
It's at Vandegrift.
Is that at Vandegrift?
Yeah, I think it's Vandegrift's homecoming as well.
Wow,
that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Are you going to get me into that game on the sidelines with you?
You've been talking about coming to Vandegrift games for how long, and you never come?
I'm going next week.
Okay, yeah.
All right. Can we ride together?
This could very well be for the district title.
Could be. Can we ride together? Can I get a ride?
I gotta be there. You get there too late.
What time?
Early.
What time do you have to be there?
I'm there at 5.
Why?
Because I gotta set up the broadcast and stuff for the.
Take you that long?
Well, I gotta make sure everything works.
All right, word. Cedar Park 55, Rouse 9 last night, Weiss 34, Bastrop 7, Brenham 44, Cedar Creek 20, Eastview What's up with them Patriots? 44-6 winners over Marble Falls. They're still undefeated.
Quiet.
Quietly undefeated.
Quiet.
Manor 42, Pflugerville 17. Stephenville, the Yellow Jackets, a.k.a. the Parakeets, beating Georgetown 28-21 last night. San Antonio Holy Cross over St. Michael's 52-14. Westlake putting it on Lehman 52-7. Lake Travis blanking Austin High 63-0. Death Valley 68, Aikens 14. And then the game game of the night, almost, or I think it was game of the night, is the one that Mr. Paul Rodriguez was at. Hayes and Bowie. Hayes with a 1-point win, 35-34 over the Bowie Bulldogs. Hayes Rebels still undefeated, Paul. What do you think about last night's game?
I think that Hayes is having a lot of great experience in these tight, close games, and they're just finding ways to win the games. They had in week 2, they had a close nail biter where they had to come from behind again with the victory over Dripping Springs 22-21. But getting into last night, Hayes gets the ball first, and they drive down. They dominate Bowie in the first drive. Quarterback Durand Hill just takes in a little end around 6-yard touchdown. There's like 9 minutes left in the first quarter, and Bowie's just flat right now. They really don't get anything going until late in the first quarter where they score a touchdown. And Hayes, and this is the turning point of the game, and it's so early because they just kind of keep it up. Hayes blocks the extra point, and it's 7-6. The theme gets carried out. Offense get ramped up. Now we're close to the end of the first half, and Hayes is just rolling right now. It's 21-7. Bowie drives down right before the end of the half, scores a touchdown. They try to go for 2. They go to the Philly. Everybody knows that Philadelphia Eagles ran that in the Super Bowl against Patriots. They convert the 2-point conversion, but a holding penalty calls it back. Go for the extra point. Nothing. Second half, it is a heavyweight round bout where they're just slugging touchdowns back and forth. Xavier Green breaks off an 80-yard touchdown. Bryant Lewis had a 75-yard touchdown, but Bowie answers the call every single time. Good in late to the fourth quarter. It's 34 Bowie, 28 Hayes, and Hayes drives down the field, eats up about 4 or 5 minutes, caps off an Xavier Green touchdown for an 11-yard touchdown. Hayes 35, Bowie 34. Great win. The stands last night was like a playoff atmosphere. It was just packed. Lots of people. Bowie coming down, short ride, down on 16-26. Great event last night. Shout out to everybody at Bob Shelton Stadium. Hayes CISD. Hayes gets the W. Close game again.
Gotta love a Paul play-by-play on Saturday morning.
I don't ever have to read about the games that Paul goes because he basically tells me everything that happened.
And then
assessment. So Hayes Rebels. I mean, you in the messenger last night. Paul, you kind of messaged. You thought at first that Hayes was going to run away with this one. What was what made you think that they were going to run away with it?
Bowie just couldn't convert, especially at like third and mediums and their second and mediums. They just couldn't get the ball to convert on those third downs when they really needed to. Hayes started giving up a lot of passes after the first quarter, and that's when the ball started really moving down the field. My biggest concern was I thought Bowie's going to run away in the second half, and I was like, Goat needs to quit being gun shy and let Bryant Lewis get on the field and let him score a touchdown. And sure enough, they run the one of 3 pass plays that Hayes runs, and Bryant Lewis is just a better athlete on the field than the majority of the guys there, and he just caught a huge post route, had the speed to outrun the defense, and contributed to that victory last night.
All right, so the Hayes Rebels still undefeated, 35-34 winners over the Bowie Bulldogs. Also last night, got to shout out the Lockhart Lions, 85-12, dropping an 85 spot on homecoming night for the Lions. And as well, we were shouting out the Flatonia Bulldogs, 41-14 winners over Yorktown High School. I think we're gonna, we're kind of evolving here on Recon Athlete. We're gonna, maybe get out to some of these smaller schools that don't get as much shine time as the Austin area teams do, and they're really appreciative, Paul.
I got a chance to sit down with one of their offensive linemen over at Flatonia. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. On the phone, we have Cam Becker, offensive line for the number 8 Flatonia Bulldogs. How are you doing this morning, Cam?
I'm doing good, T-Rod. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. We're excited. Congratulations on another big win last night. Cam, talk to me a little bit about how y'all season is progressing and how things have gone so far compared to, maybe last year.
Last year, our offensive line was way more experienced with all upperclassmen, and going to this year, we have a lot more freshmen starting and sophomores. So the progression this year was to not only build up the offensive line, but to make a deep run in the playoffs, and we're looking great right now.
You certainly are. Y'all have had big wins. Y'all had 49-14 over Runge, 33 over who did y'all win in y'all second game? Who did y'all play there?
It was Sacred Heart.
Sacred Heart
Catholic school out of Hallettsville.
Definitely a tap school there. Y'all thrashed Thrall 33-14, dominated Schulenburg 35-14. So it just sounds like y'all's defense is just as dominant as your offense. Who are the studs that are kind of the leadership of the defensive front?
The defensive front is definitely the Corey Willis, Chris Johnston, linebacker Eric Herrera, our cornerback Chris Almos, Alex Hernandez. They're small, but they play tough and hard.
And I got to give props to your head coach, Coach Freytag, and his staff. To hold teams to 14 points or less is a tremendous job. And just, props to them and props to you all for continuously getting the ball down the field and dominating. I checked the score at half, and it was 28-0, and I was just in complete amazement of how dominant y'all could be. And it's also a good thing for your underclassmen also to get reps for the 2s and the 3s, as well as having the starters be well rested. So next week, y'all are going to be on the road, or excuse me, are y'all at home or on the road next week?
We're going to be at home this week again.
So it's going to be against Weimar. And actually, I'm going to tell you right now, surprise, surprise, I will be in Flatonia to go ahead and get a good glimpse of y'all's team, y'all's, your strategy, your philosophy for the coaching staff. So I'm excited to be out there. Let the community know, Cam, that Recon Athlete at Austin, Texas is going to be there in the house, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Awesome.
I appreciate your time this morning. Tell everybody that we're coming, and we're excited to see the number 8 in the Class 2A Division II Flatonia Bulldogs. Thank you for your time this morning, Cam, and I wish you all the best.
Yes, sir. Thank you. You have a good one.
All right. Shout out to Cam Becker, offensive lineman for the Flatonia Bulldogs. Paul's going to go out today. Is it next week you're going?
Yep, next week.
All right. We're going to go get some Flatonia footage. They're number 8 in the state right now. Is that 2A?
That's 2A Division II.
All right. That's going to be exciting, man, to go to one of those small towns.
Man,
all the stores closed, right? Is that what happens?
They all just shut down. That's the story. Let's see if it's like the movies.
What do you know about that small town high school football there, Zach?
Nothing.
Absolutely nothing.
You never saw Friday Night Lights? And I'm talking about the film, not the TV show.
Yeah, that's a big school in Friday Night Lights.
In the 80s?
Yeah.
No, we're talking about the movie.
Yeah, wasn't that Odessa Permian?
Yeah, that's true.
What about what's that? Remember the Titans with Denzel?
Remember the Titans.
Well, yeah, I see that. I guess that'll be closer.
That's probably going to be closer to it.
Just minus the segregation and the civil rights violations.
Bruh.
ReconAthlete.com. Hard R about to make his appearance here. Zach Luceto, Chris Sanchez, Paul Rodriguez, Snoop Daniel over there on the couch. I think he's looking at his DraftKings lineup right now. Is that what you're doing, Snoop? Yeah, he is. Here you go. Come on. We're going to talk a little bit of NFL now. Tomorrow, Titans Falcons. Looks like Atlanta's a 3.5 point favorite. I don't really. I got Calvin Ridley on my squad. I'm not really happy about that or excited about it, but we'll see what happens out of that game. Patriots Bills tomorrow night as well, or tomorrow. New England 7-point favorite.
With their offensive line right now,
you think it should be more or less?
No, I think it should be less because Edelman is not 100%, and they have 3 starters in the offensive line that are injured and out.
And the Bills are undefeated.
Yeah, at home.
Josh Allen, man,
is that your boy now?
That's my boy.
I thought Gardner Minshew was
Gardner Minshew. Other than not,
your second boy.
Hey, but I want to say back to high school. I want to get Snoop's thoughts. Just a quick little roundup. Last weekend or yesterday, a lot of big games that didn't necessarily go the way that people thought they would. I.e., Vandergrift Vista was supposed to be close. Cedar Ridge, Stony Point was supposed to be the way better team. What are your thoughts about last night's games?
Yes, Stony Point is better than Cedar Ridge. and Vandegrift is better than Vista Ridge. I mean, that's what I thought, and I mean, it shook out the way I thought it would. I didn't think Vista would be too competitive. I thought Vandegrift would win by 2 touchdowns.
Well, there we go.
And I thought that Stony Point would dominate. I thought they'd win by more than 10, but
Really?
yeah. Remember, and we did a public poll. Man, I got to find it, but
Yeah.
I mean, resoundingly, the public felt Cedar Ridge would dominate that game, and they were so wrong.
I wonder why. Is it just history on that game? Just history.
Sorry, I probably spin on you, Zach. But yeah, I mean, we had like in our little poll thing, I had Stony Point at 5 and Cedar Ridge at 7.
Oh, wow.
So it came out the way I thought it would. But I do like, because I know y'all want to move on to the NFL.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Like Zach took the hard left turn. I appreciate it.
That's all good.
But I do want to shout out Perf Lake, Vandy Perf, Perf Rock, Stony Perf, Pat Perf, R Perf ND, and Perf Po Nation. That last one's probably the lamest, but we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 undefeated teams in the Austin area. So they're perf.
And one of them is going to go down next week with the.
Good thing I took that hard left so we could get all that in.
I know,
Yeah.
man. We were in
Questions.
we were on Albuquerque. We get hit Albuquerque and we took a wrong left.
Yeah.
Like Bugs Bunny.
Hey, but I feel like Cedar Ridge is just a little more social medially woke than Stony Point.
Well, no. Stony Point, they're woke. They just don't talk as much trash. They really are supportive of like their Stony Point Booster Club stuff. I mean, they're just more, I guess, introverted, if you can be that way on social media.
But you don't think there's teams that just from their social media like following will always win those kind of polls and stuff like that?
Yeah, I guess so.
I mean, you could tell by the crowds last night for sure. Like Cedar Ridge, I mean, there was just a lot more. Granted, it was homecoming, but Cedar Ridge's student section was about 3 times the size of Stony Point's.
Yeah, for sure.
The general attendance was at least 3 times the size Cedar Ridge and Stony Point. But I tell you what, and actually, I watched the first half on Cedar Ridge side, and I watched the second half on Stony Point side because I just wanted to kind of get what the reactions on both sides, of the crowds, and definitely Cedar Ridge. They had I guess the culture at Cedar Ridge starts at a young age. I mean, I was sitting at the Cedar Ridge.
They're just really fun too.
Yeah, it was funny because I had some. I want to say. I mean, honestly, I want to say there were middle school girls sitting behind me, and they were critiquing the kickoff for the Cedar Ridge. They were like, "I don't like the way he kicks the ball."
Chase Camp.
Yeah, and I wanted to turn around and be like, "Look, the coach probably told them to do that, okay?" But they were little kids. But
just because y'all middle school, y'all kick it to the 20.
But they were into the game.
They were engaged.
Yeah, they were engaged with what was going on the field. They weren't just talking about what was happening on social media or whatever. But and I'm talking about young girls, and they had all their Cedar Ridge stuff going on, and they were engaged, and it just seems like the the Cedar Ridge culture is there as far as the high school football support.
Yeah, Cedar Ridge, 58% of the vote. People thought the Raiders would take it last night. So.
Yeah, I saw that it said there's 178 votes. That's over 100 votes just for Cedar Ridge doing the math there. So I mean, people real woke on Cedar Ridge trying to give their team some love.
Zach, who'd you vote for?
I voted for C. None of the above.
I beg to differ. I could find something.
Dang, why can't you ever just say who you voted for?
Because y'all always try to play me on here.
What?
Y'all always try to use my picks against me. So
Do we?
I can keep my hand close.
Man, you still owe me pluckers. Are you got anything else?
Man,
any other high school stuff?
Like pluckers, man. Let's talk about NFL. I don't even want to talk about high school.
Why not, man?
No, I'm.
Oh man, come on, Zach. Put your microphone back on. All right, MFL.
I'm back.
Chiefs Lions. Let's see. Kansas City is only a 7-point favorite at the Detroit. That's kind of surprising. Raiders Colts. Indy -6.5. Chargers Dolphins. Chargers are 14.5-point favorites. I think I heard it was, I want to say 1983 the last time the Chargers won in Miami. So 14.5 points. That just shows you how bad Miami Dolphins are. Redskins and Giants. The Giants are only a 3-point favorite, or actually are a 3-point favorite. I'm kind of surprised that they're a favorite. Browns, Ravens, Baltimore 6.5-point favorite. I would expect that to be more. Buccaneers, Rams 9.5 points favorites for the Rams. Seahawks, Cardinals. Seahawks at Cardinals. Seattle's -5.5. Vikings at Bears. Chicago's -1.5. Jaguars at Broncos. Denver a 3-point favorite. And then Monday night Bengals at Steelers. Pittsburgh a 3.5-point favorite. Any of those games anybody want to take the lead and talk about? Paul?
Did you mention that Dallas game? Or
No, not yet.
Okay.
No, I'm just
my biggest thing is that Giants Redskin game. I don't know if
This could be another stop on the Danny Dimes hype train right
listen,
here.
man. I'm not a big. I'm so confused and flustered with this situation because I want Haskins to play.
Okay.
And I just don't know if they're going to just keep Keenum in there all the time for Washington. But if Washington gets down 14, 21 points, put Haskins in to see if he can throw the rock. Because last week I was calling for Haskins to get in the game because Keenan just couldn't throw anybody open. He couldn't throw the ball at all. So I think if Haskins was playing the game since the start of the season, Redskins could be favored in this game.
I'm starting Case Keenum in my GPP DraftKings.
I don't play daily fantasy. I'm just saying.
But I don't know, man. He's been doing all right. It's not like he's bad.
Well, and I think
They're 0-3.
I think the success that people have seen with quarterbacks that start year one versus quarterbacks that sit under a veteran and then start year two have been so monumental of a difference that they're just holding on to just to say that we started them year two. I don't think they want to put him out there. You heard Gruden in his interview say the season's not over, so we're not going to put Haskins in. He basically said we're not going to put him in until the season is.
If his job's on the line, they're going to put him in.
I don't think so.
You don't?
Because I think these coaches, and it's kind of like hardball in Michigan too. These coaches want to latch on to a quarterback that's not performing, so that can be their scapegoat to say, how do you expect me to win if Case Keenum's playing like this?
Yeah, but has it been really Case Keenum's fault though? Week 1, 380 yards, 3 touchdowns. Week 2, he had 221 and 2 touchdowns. Now, granted, last week he had 3 interceptions, but that's just 1 week. Is that his fault?
That's the only good team they've played.
Well, are we talking about a good team right now though? Are we talking? I'm talking about. He's talking about the Giants, Redskins. Are we talking about are we talking about the full season? I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I'm applying to play devil's advocate here. Case Keenum hadn't really had a bad season per se.
He's got 7 touchdowns and 3 picks on the year.
Right. And those 3 picks were in 1 game.
Right. And so the way I'm looking at that is you threw 3 picks against Chicago, probably if not the best top 3 defense in the NFL.
Okay.
Right now. And Dallas could.
So you can't. So are you going to hold that against them?
We're talking about QB pressures. We're talking about picks from the defense that are either tipped or pressures that cause the pick. And if you didn't have any picks the first 3 games and you played Dallas before that and Philly before that, they're not horrible defenses, but they're not great either. So
Dallas is one of the best defenses in the league.
But okay, if that fades into my point is that he should have been having picks if he didn't. And
he 221, 2 touchdowns. He was.
But I agree with you, Chris. I think you got to rock with him for as long as you can.
Not anything against Haskins. I just think that I don't believe that the Redskins' woes is due to their quarterback play right now.
What do you think it is?
Obviously it's
everything else.
Obviously they've given up 30 points plus a game.
So you think Geis also hurts them being out?
Yeah, but I just said 30 points plus per game.
Getting rid of Samaje Perine really hurts.
That shout out Samaje. I'm just saying that defense hasn't done anything to put their team into into a winning position. So I just I wonder Chris Thompson. Paul Richardson. Those guys aren't bad. They're not great. You're not going to win football games with those guys.
Okay,
but I'm just
why not?
I guess you could. Paul Richardson is good.
I think Austin Eckler showed you that you don't have to be a big name to.
That's true.
To get your team some wins, but maybe the coaches are seeing something in Haskins at practice that we're not, because I feel like just kind of how the Giants were I feel like they wanted to redshirt, quote unquote, Daniel Jones, but it got to a point where the quarterback play was not where they needed it to be for their season to go anywhere. So they put in Daniel Jones, who looked good in the preseason, who I guess has looked good in practice, and that hasn't been the case for Haskins. He didn't look great in the preseason. So maybe there's something happening at practice, maybe or a lack of something happening at practice for Haskins, where they're just not comfortable putting him out there.
I mean, they might even put. I mean, if McCoy's coming back from injury, they might even put him before Haskins.
It could be.
I mean, I don't know. So
I got him on my fantasy team, Colt McCoy.
Do you really?
Yeah, my
No, you don't.
my MPH daily league.
What does that even mean?
I don't know. Y'all always say all these letters.
DFS.
PH, you're Neil Patrick Harris.
Yeah.
Doogie Howser, is that what you're talking
Is that what you
about?
talking about? All right, Panthers, Texans. Houston 4-point favorite at home against Carolina Panthers. Any opinions on that game?
On Kyle Allen.
Kyle Whiteclaw Allen.
Whoa.
What about him?
I mean,
Christian McCaffrey is he gonna dominate this football game?
well, Greg Olson's kind of come alive with Kyle Allen, and I think if Kyle Allen strings together some wins, like I don't think Carolina wants to be a Cam Newton franchise anymore. Like I think this would be a perfect excuse for them to try to
Is it because of
phase him out.
Is it because of his wardrobe?
No, I think it's just because it's kind of how they were with Steve Smith when he just got a little too loud for him.
Right.
He got a little too.
Oh, sorry.
Go keep going, Zach.
No, I mean,
Are you saying the owner, Benson, is just not feeling and vibing with Cam Newton now? Is that what you're telling me?
he's been hurt how many of the last few seasons?
I mean,
At least this year and last year for sure.
Yeah, when's the last time he played? He played a full schedule.
I can't even tell.
Ever since that Super Bowl game, he
Exactly.
really hasn't been the same. He hasn't been. Everyone talks about getting back to MVP Cam. Like you just want to get back to consistent Cam, and that hasn't been the case. So if Kyle Allen or even if Kyle Allen gives them a chance to end up at either a playoff team or to end up with a high draft pick, I think they'll explore other options at quarterback.
Snoop Daniel, do you have any opinions about Kyle Allen?
No.
No.
But it's all about Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah.
Who cares who's a quarterback? Just get McCaffrey the ball.
Yeah, get McCaffrey the ball, get DJ Moore the ball, get Curtis Samuel the ball. I mean, I think that's what Kyle Allen just needs to do. Greg Olson, just get them the ball and let them do the work. You know, I mean, and then you get a decent defense. I mean, Luke Kuechly's leading the league in tackles right now. So, I mean, if you can play just managerial quarterback, I think the Carolina Panthers have, a slight formula to win. They're not going to win a Super Bowl right now, but they're not a bad team with Kyle Allen back there at quarterback. Paul?
I'm waiting for Deshaun Watson to have that breakout game because he hasn't had it this year, and I think today may be it, especially being at home. It's going to be an early game, and Carolina is the perfect candidate for him to just break out. And let's see if Will Fuller and Hopkins can just get that ball just breaking down the field.
All right, Cowboys Saints tomorrow night. Looks like Dallas is a 2.5-point favorite on the road at the New Orleans Saints. Does Teddy Bridgewater beat the Dallas Cowboys? Anybody? Who wants to take that one?
That's the best defense they've gone against. The best pass rush.
I agree with that.
And I mean the same thing we're talking about the Panthers, where just get blank the ball.
Yeah.
I mean that's all Teddy Bridgewater has to do, and you can say his weapons could even be better.
Kamara,
Michael Thomas, yeah.
Traquan Smith.
Maybe we'll see
I
some.
think he's out.
Oh, is he going to be in? Yeah. Okay.
Maybe
who
we'll
else?
see some Taysom Hill.
If Taysom Hill starts at quarterback, or if Taysom Hill,
He's not going to start.
I agree with that. I don't think he'll start either. But if Taysom Hill takes over at quarterback, let's say in the second quarter, Dallas is in trouble.
It's Teddy the Glove Bridgewater, right?
Yeah.
Teddy the gloves. He wearing both. They play indoors.
Pluralities.
No matter where this game would take place, either Dallas or New Orleans, he's got gloves on inside.
I wonder what his hand size is.
That's bad.
Hand size are, because if his hands are small, then
Then what does that say?
that means that he can't get a grip on the ball. What does it mean?
He's probably got little feet or what? But no, I mean isn't that like bad manners? Aren't you supposed to take your gloves off like when you're inside, like an umbrella?
It's not a hat, Zach.
Yeah.
All right. So if I'm building a DFS lineup tomorrow, do I want and I can only afford to do one. Alvin Kamara or Zeke Elliott? Who's got better performance tomorrow? Who do y'all think? Or even? Snoop says Zeke.
I think Zeke gets more touches.
Okay.
But maybe Alvin Kamara's touches go up because they have to rely on him a little bit more.
Like they'll have more urgency to
Right.
score. Yeah, that's a good.
Or like they'll want to put the ball in his hands more instead of leaving it in Teddy Bridgewater's. But he's not even necessarily like that. Like taking handoffs out the backfield and stuff like that.
Zeke only has 2 TDs on the season. He needs to get fed a little bit more and put it in the end zone. So if they get close to the red zone, I could totally see Kellen Moore go ahead and throwing that ball out, maybe on a swing pass, maybe getting him in the flat, getting him in space, see if he can beat a defender one-on-one. But Dak needs to quit taking those red zone touchdowns away from Zeke.
Yeah. Snoop, you said Zeke. Why?
Because he's the better running back. I don't know. I just like Zeke more. I don't know why.
You just because you're a Cowboys fan?
Yeah.
I mean, you look a little more like Alvin Kamara.
I do, yeah. If I had like a bone in my nose, like a gold one,
Yeah.
I would need like big long dreads. We are the same chocolate.
So tomorrow night,
Hey, real quick shout out,
go ahead.
Derek King, linebacker for Florida Atlantic. That's Paul's player right there.
Oh, okay.
So it's he's
he's a linebacker for Florida Atlantic.
Yeah.
He's
under Lane Kiffin
Yeah, Derek King.
okay.
Nice.
He's not De'Aaron King.
with a Q.
All right. Okay. So real quickly, last week my sleeper
skin is
pick
aliens.
for daily fantasy was Tony Pollard, who I didn't play like an idiot. This week I'm gonna go.
You didn't play your own sleeper.
I know. I
played
didn't.
him and
You
he
got
went
it?
off.
Oh man.
I started Zeke and Pollard.
Yeah.
Anybody
And
play
Pollard
Jordan
scored
Howard?
more than Zeke.
Anybody play Jordan Howard?
He did.
Yeah,
Chris.
I did. This week I'm gonna go. Okay, sorry, Paul. What
No,
did you
I
say?
was gonna say, moral of the story, ladies and gentlemen, trust your gut.
Yeah. This week I'm going Preston Williams. That's my dart / sleeper. Does anybody know who Preston Williams is?
No.
I know who Elvis Presley is.
Preston Williams is a wide receiver for the Miami Dolphins.
I played baseball with Preston Shea. He's now kind of fat and married.
His 1920 stats are 11 catches, 155 yards, and 1 touchdown. I just think that Miami is going to be chasing points at the end.
He looks like Snoop.
Who?
Do we have the same?
Yeah, that's the third black person that we've said looks like
We're the
Snoop. We
same
need to chill.
chocolate. Oh my god! Why are we just comparing? You'll have to edit this out.
Nah.
Hey, so we were talking about
leaving all this in.
before we close and Paul yells at the mic for you to subscribe.
Uh-huh.
We were talking about Saquon Barkley last week and his fantasy value. So I proposed a trade.
Oh,
in
you
my
did?
league.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So my skill position, guys: Christian McCaffrey, Marlon Mack, Keenan Allen, Tyler Lockett, Hooper, the tight end for the Falcons, Calvin Ridley. I also have Damian Williams, Kareem Hunt, and Jordan Howard.
And who drafted that?
I did.
No, you didn't.
And Nick Chubb.
I did.
And I haven't been playing Nick Chubb the last few weeks.
So you did offer Nick
So
Chubb?
I offered Nick Chubb for Saquon Barkley straight
took
up.
it. They took it, didn't
They
they?
haven't responded yet. But I didn't.
Really?
I didn't do it until like 3 a.m. last night. So
Oh. I mean,
what
'cause
do y'all
we're-
think? What do y'all think about that?
I'd take that.
I mean, if I were the other person, I would take it. And I think Snoop
Yeah, I
agrees.
take it.
But do you think that's a dumb trade on my part?
No.
Because I don't necessarily need Nick
You
Chubb
have
right
so
now.
much value at the running back position.
Yeah,
Right.
if you can afford to give up Nick Chubb and you can afford to wait, for Saquon to come back, heck yeah. Oh
And
yeah.
then do you think if that trade doesn't go through, do you think Nick Chubb is my best trading piece right now on my team?
I think so.
Because I also at quarterback, the only quarterback I have on my roster right now is Jacoby Brissett. So do you think I try to shop Nick Chubb for a quarterback?
Yeah, you can find somebody on the waiver wire, bro.
So just you just do the Snoop approach and go week to week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You have way too much value.
I think quarterback. It's almost to the point where quarterback you can stream just like a defense.
You just find the matchup.
Absolutely. All right, man. Well,
I'll let you guys know if it gets accepted.
I appreciate everybody joining us. Shout out Snoop Daniel. Thank you for joining us today,
Yeah,
brother.
Thank y'all.
All right,
For the left turn.
I know in Albuquerque.
If I wasn't so like, I just went too hard last night. One, we got off the radio show at 11:30, so I immediately went downtown and just started going power hour hard.
Yeah.
2.5 hours early, so that's why I'm a little spacey.
Word. Shout out to
Snoop smells like gin and juice.
No.
Shout out to Flatonia offensive lineman Cam Becker. Shout out to Lawman ATX for sponsoring the podcast. ReconAthlete.com. Paul, do your thing.
Ladies and gentlemen, if y'all are digging the podcast, please like, subscribe, and comment down below. And as always, click that bell.
Hey, hey, same squad, same squad, same squad. Drop top, coupe, Dodge, Range drives.